Hi everyone, welcome to my garden. My name's Lena and I'm a gardener in Zone 8B in the Pacific Northwest of Washington State. I think today is April 25th or 26th, I'm not too sure, but anyway, we're entering the last week of April in 2023, and I thought it'd be a really good time for me to be pruning my camellias for the first time since I've had them. If you've seen my videos before, you'll know that I grow all of my camellias in containers and that I have 5 of them, and I've had them for about 3 years now, except this one here. This little one I just got last year. And since I've had them, I have not pruned at all because, you know, they were like small and still growing. But today is going to be the first time that I attempt to prune my camellias. I'm a little bit nervous about that because I haven't done it before, but I spent a lot of time, you know, in the past couple of weeks watching a bunch of videos on YouTube on how other people do theirs, and I've read a few articles on the internet. So I really hope that I have enough information to be doing everything correctly, and I thought I'd show you how I go about doing that. After I prune my camellias today, I'm also going to be fertilizing them, and that I've done before, so I'm a little bit more confident on that. But okay, let's get started. Before I get started, let me introduce these 3 camellias that I have next to me real quick. This one is Camellia japonica, a variety called Mrs. Tingley, and she's still in bloom, so obviously I'm not going to touch her or prune anything today because I want to enjoy the flowers first. She's on her tail end though, so she's probably going to be done in about a week or 2, but I wanted to show you how beautifully and wonderfully she's been blooming for me. She blooms in abundance too, you guys. So in one cluster you can expect up to like 6 to 7 flowers, and because she flowers a lot, the branches seem to get like droopy because they tend to get heavy. So what I do is I put around the plant some bamboo stakes, and I attach the branches to the stakes to kind of, you know, like make it look more perky and not as droopy. But let me show you one of the flowers that I cut off earlier because I just, you know, wanted to show how beautiful and delicate the flowers look. I hope my camera focuses. Alright, here we go. So it's got like a really nice like true pink or mid pink color, double form that looks a bit formal to me, and this is one of the smaller flowers. I've had bigger ones that are about like 2 to 3 inches in diameter. It's really nice, beautiful flowers. So this is Mrs. Tingley. This is also Camellia japonica. This is a variety called Debutante, and Debutante is going to be the one that I work on the most today because she's pretty much done with her flowering, except maybe like a few odd flowers here and there. Oh my goodness, this flower is so big. It's really large and beautiful. Let me cut that off real quick because I really wanted to show you how beautiful it is. There. Okay, let's see. Take a look at this beauty, you guys. So this debutante has a softer pink compared to Mrs. Tingley. Really large in size, but debutante flowers a little bit less in terms of the number of blooms compared to Mrs. Tingley. But debutante has such soft, delicate pink blooms. My goodness, so romantic. This is a gorgeous variety. So debutante blooms starts blooming maybe like December, late December, early January, and depending on the weather, it can continue to bloom until now, the end of April. So it's really long, you know, bloom period, which I love. Now this is Camellia sasanqua. So this one blooms the earliest. Sasanquas bloom earlier than japonica. This is a variety called Shishikashira. Shishikashira for me starts blooming this year, late November, maybe early December, and it went on all the way through until February. And theoretically, I could have pruned this in February, but because we were having still like a pretty harsh winter storm and a few cold snaps were coming through, you know, here and there, I didn't didn't want to risk pruning this plant when we were facing such harsh winter conditions, so I waited. I guess I could have pruned it in March, you know, last month, but you know, since I was still like reading up on how to prune camellias, I didn't want to rush into it, so I waited. But anyway, best time to prune camellias is when it's just finished flowering. Okay, so that's one of the first things that you should know. Now, let's get going. So first thing that you want to be looking for is you want to inspect your plants for dead or diseased stems. Anything that looks brown, or you know, like any branches that look moldy or blotchy, you know, like that, you know, basically anything that doesn't look healthy, you want to remove that. So let me move the camera closer so you can get a better look, and we're gonna do this together, you guys. Depending on the size of the branches of your camellias, you're gonna need some tools. In my case, my camellias are not too big, and they're probably never gonna get too big because I'm growing them in containers. All I will need is a pair of pruning shears. This is an old pair, but they're still sharp and they're clean. And it goes without saying, I'm sure, that you know, you want to use clean tools when you prune your plants. Now I'm gonna look for some dead or diseased stems. For example, anything that looks like this one here. And when you cut, you want to cut as close to the main branch as possible. This one looks really, you know, kind of brown and blotchy and, you know, moldy, so that needs to go. So I'm gonna go in and I'm going to take a look at all of these small branches that, you know, like don't have anything else going on. They look dead. This camellia is still relatively small, so I'm not going to remove too much because, you know, I want it to still put on some growth. Let's see. Okay, I've got more dead branches here. This one is for sure dead. Okay, well this one, you know, it's got like some dead flowers, you know, spent flowers and spent buds. So I'm only gonna remove the flowers and the buds, but not the branches. Okay, these leaves don't look too great, so I'm gonna remove them. Remove them. Okay. Wow, this is you know, like it looks easy, but it's actually not. Like one of my least favorite things to do in the garden is pruning and shearing, because you know, I'm such an amateur. I never know if I'm doing it right, or you know, if I'm cutting out like healthy branches or not. But you know, like if there's one thing I learned about plants is that they're very resilient and they're very forgiving. So even if you know, prune a few wrong branches, like it's not gonna do anything. It's gonna put on like new growth for you. You might, you know, lose some flowers, some buds here and there, but you know, that's pretty much it. Now, I think I'm pretty happy with the dead and deceased stems that I removed. Now I'm gonna look at their shape. Okay, so for this plant, the size is not a problem. I've only had it for about a year and a half, but the shape is a little bit problematic, you know, to me anyway, because I feel like that branch right there is growing a little bit too long and too like horizontal, and it makes the plant look kind of, you know, imbalanced. Like this one doesn't really have too many branches going that way, and this one is like, you know, growing super long that way. And if I think if I leave this, it's gonna put on like, you know, even more like longer growth. So what I'm gonna do with this branch, I'm gonna come here and I'm going to cut it to, let me see how I feel if it looks like that. Still a little bit too long for my liking, so I'm gonna remove it a little bit more. Okay, and now I feel better with the shape of it. Like, I really hope that, you know, like it's put on a little bit more growth on this side. So this one I'm done. Okay, so let's push this one back. And then now let's go get this one. Alright, you guys, this one is the one that I am most nervous about because she is so beautiful, flowers are magnificent, and I don't want to do anything wrong, you know, to my debutante. But anyway, here goes. Okay, now let's take a look. Do I have any dead or diseased stems with my debutante? You know what, guys? Not a whole lot of diseased or dead stems. This is a really, really healthy variety. Take a look. I'll turn it around and you can be the judge. Some spent flowers, but spent flowers are not, you know, diseased. They're just spent. So let me just remove these. Remove these. Okay, maybe this one leaf here that looks a bit, you know, yellow and diseased, so I'm gonna remove that. Remove that. But honestly, in terms of, you know, like disease, this is a really, really healthy variety. Don't you agree? Okay, so I guess I'm good with that. Now, with this one though, the problem that I have with it is the fact that it's pretty dense in the middle, and that's not too good for airflow. And also, like when it flowers, I've got some flowers that you know, kind of happen on the inside of the plant, like this one for example, because the branches were kind of growing in the center of the plant. The flowers are kind of hidden and I can't really see it, so that is one thing I don't like with debutante. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go like in the center of the plant and remove the branches that are kind of like growing inwards, and then I'm gonna remove those. So let's see. Okay, like this one for example. Alright, you guys, so I've removed like a whole bunch of branches from my camellias. I think it's a whole bunch, but you know, like to some of experienced gardeners, they may say, oh, that's nothing. But anyway, that's how comfortable I feel with pruning my camellias. Okay, so let's recap. That's the number of branches that I just removed, and this is the final product of what my Camellia debutante looks like right now. Probably doesn't look like, like that I cut off too much, because I didn't. But to me, I see the difference because I look at this plant every day. The center looks a lot more open than before. It was a lot more like, like busy and bushy in here, which was not great for air circulation. But right now it's a bit more open, and in terms of shape and height, I'm pretty happy with what I have. It's got like a kind of a cup shape going, and I like that about my plants, and it's a good height. If you want your camellias to be bushy, you want to cut like an inch or an inch and a half off of the top of every branch to encourage newer, bushier growth. If you want to control size, then obviously you would cut down to however much you want, to your desired height, which could be more than a couple of inches or, like longer than that. Alrighty, now that I'm done with my pruning, let's fertilize it. So first things first, you want to remove all of the dead flowers or fallen flowers or leaves from the bottom of the plant. So that when you, sprinkle the fertilizer, it gets to the plant right away. And I also have some mulch from last year that I put here to protect my camellias from winter. And so let me remove that, pull some weeds along the way, and I will have about 3 to 4 inches of space on the top of the container to work with. And normally, like be careful not to be too rough with the roots, and you can see like some of these like fibrous roots on the surface, so try to be careful with that. Next thing I do is I take a bucket of new soil. In here I have compost mixed with new potting mix or potting soil that I bought. If you can get your hands on ericaceous compost, that's wonderful. If you can't, you can add a little bit of this into the soil. This is soil acidifier because camellias are acid-loving plants. The direction says that it takes 1 tablespoon for each 4 inches of pot diameter. My pot diameter is 20 inches, but because this is not like a new pot, I'm just like sprinkling this on top, so I'm going to eyeball it, and I'm going to put like 1 tablespoon into the new soil. Okay, and then what I do is I mix it in here. Alright, I have my nice new soil, and I'm going to pour that onto here, okay, to give it a nice new layer of soil and compost. Okay, so there's that. Alright, now it's time for fertilizer. For fertilizer, I use any fertilizer really that is good for acid-loving plants like azalea, camellia, rhododendron. And you can find this at any garden store. So it says here for year 2 and 3 you use 1/3 of a cup, and for year 4 you use 1 cup in the spring and fall. Alrighty, and then I water it really well. the last step that I'm gonna do today is go back in there and put a layer of mulch to, you know, help hold moisture in, or, you know, like mulch is always good for the plant, both for the summer and for the winter, because it helps with, you know, moisture retention, and it helps protect the plants from, you know, any harsh heat or cold. So there's my layer of mulch. Okay, that's good. Now with this, with the old soil, the old compost, or sorry, the old mulch, and the, you know, dead and fallen leaves and flowers, you can pop this back in here if you want. For me, this is gonna go into my compost pile first for the summer, and then I will reuse it in the fall in this same container. Alrighty, that's pretty much done today, you guys. My pruning and fertilizing of my camellias. I hope this video is helpful to you if you're new to this like me. And I guess, you know, like, we're here to learn together, right? Alright, now I got so many things to do in the garden. It's not even funny. I have to clean up a few things. I have to uncover all my furniture and, you know, like, lay them out in the garden. I am going to plant my annuals, pull some weeds. I'm also gonna take down this huge clear tarp. I don't know if you can see as a backdrop of my video. I hung up this clear tarp over the winter to protect my camellias, and now it's time to bring them down because the weather is getting warmer and warmer every day. And a few other things. Oh, my roses are arriving today. I ordered some David Austin roses, some climbing roses, so they're coming today, and I'm gonna get them into the ground this evening after I soak them in water for a few hours. So, few things for me to do in the garden, you guys. How's your spring going, and how is your gardening chores going? I hope you guys are enjoying it, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.